You know that Ministry of Jal Shakti have a special drive, a special program, a special section which has been set up for the conservation of water. When we talk of conservation of water, what is the worldwide situation as far as the water resources are concerned? Let us have a look at it. So the presentation which I am making through this particular FDP, that can be cited using this specific article which is shown on the slide. As far as the global water demand is concerned, presently about 4,600 cubic meter per year is the present demand of water, global water, and it is expected to increase by 20 to 30% by 2050, which will be 5,500 to 6,000 cubic kilometer per year. So this is as per the latest report of UN Water Development, and the latest report of UN Water Development says that the global water demand will increase by 20 to 30% by 2050, while the global demand for agriculture will increase by 60% by 2025. So one side we have a erratic rainfall, we have a irregular rainfall, we have a wet years, no storage measures, no systematic conservation measures, and other side the demand globally increasing. So it is but obvious that it will put pressure on the existing water resources. Friends, as I said that this specific lecture, this specific presentation is not one way. You are equally participating in it throughout the presentation. So I request one and all the participants to pay attention the figures and facts which I am trying to explain you, because in between I may ask someone of you at a later stage that what is the scenario of water demand globally. Then the answer should come that the global demand will increase 20 to 30% as far as the general use is concerned, and it will increase by 60% by 2025. As I said, the global water cycle is intensifying due to climate change, with wetter regions generally become wetter and drier regions becoming even drier. So crisis is like the region which are receiving rainfall, they are receiving the rainfall in terms of extreme extent, while the regions which are not receiving rainfall, there is a drought for successive years. A report of Niti Aayog, as I said in the beginning, India may face the worst water crisis in its history, and 21 Indian cities will run out of groundwater in near future. Study also says that 40% of Indians will have no access to drinking water by 2030. And this is really a serious concern. By 2030, if 40% of the Indians, if they will not be having access to drinking water, then it's really a point of worry or question of worry. And if you remember the Prime Minister's speech on 2nd October, that is Gandhi Jayanti, can anybody tell me what he has been emphasized on? Someone unmute your mic and reply what is written on the second point. 40% of Indians will have no access to drinking water by 2030. In this line only, on 2nd October, on the day of Gandhi Jayanti, Prime Minister of India, right, announced something. Can anybody tell me What was that topic, or what on what point he was emphasizing?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
It was
Pardon
about
me?
Jal Jeevan Mission, and he was discussing about the Pani Samiti members and the awareness, about these
Yes,
gram panchayat.
he was see, you are right. He was talking about two things. Number one, clean water and cleanliness, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
that
Yes,
clean
sir.
water, why he has mentioned on 2nd October about clean water, cleanliness, and more steps towards the cleanliness. This is one of the reason, because as I said that 40% of Indians will have no access to drinking water. If we will not take proper measures, then it may happen that many of may be drinking contaminated water. In 2015-16, 14 of the 24 states analyzed score below 50% on water management. Right? Gujarat performed best with a score of 76%, followed by Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. So not only water conservation, but uh, water management will be playing an important role as far as the management of water resources is concerned. Water demand cannot exceed water availability. While water demand is increasing, water availability is increasing. What is the scenario at the national level? At the national level, we observe that the water demand is increasing while the water availability is shrinking. What does this mean by the water availability is shrinking? Here it is written water availability is shrinking. Just after one or two slides, I will show you what is the picture, what is the Indian of available water. In 2010s, groundwater use globally amount to be 800 kilometer cube per year. India, the United States, China, Iran, and Pakistan accounted for 67% of the global extractions. More than 30% of the world's largest groundwater system are now in distress. This is the point of worry. You will observe that more than 30% of the world's large groundwater systems, they are at the distress. The simple message is that water resources will decrease dramatically by 2050. If steps are not taken properly, what will happen not only in our country, but globally, we will observe that the water resources will suffer from a stress. You can see the picture on the right hand side, left hand side of this particular slide. This is a real picture in the state of Rajasthan, wherein the woman is trying to have one one bucket of water for the drinking purpose. And if we will not conserve our water resources, this will be the common pictures you will observe across the country. One side we talk about the amount of water, other side the quality of water is also equally a point of worry. At present, 12% of the world population drinks water from unimproved and unsafe sources. More than 30% of the global diversity has been lost because of degradation of freshwater ecosystem due to the pollution of water resources and aquatic system. River regeneration, that is one of the major project taken up by Ministry of Jal Shakti, is also a step in this direction, because quantity and quality both are important. And as far as the quality of water is concerned, according to the reports, many of Indian waters, Indian river waters is no more potable water, or it exceeds the quality of water from poorer to poorer. It has become from poorer to poor to poorer. However, I have seen in last 5 years, if you will see YouTube videos, you will come across there are number of rivers and number of NGOs. They have come forward for the regeneration of the river. Anybody is here attending the presentation from Nagpur? Anybody is here from the Nagpur? No one? Okay. Why I am talking specifically about Nagpur? Nag River is the one of the main river passing through Nagpur city, and this Nag River was polluted up to such an extent that the once upon a time the river which was considered to be holy to take bath, no one would like to enter into it. And the people of Nagpur city, authority of Nagpur city, various NGOs of Nagpur city have come forward and they have rejuvenated Nag River, and today the quality of Nag River is of good quality. So this is an example which I wanted to give. That's why I have asked you that someone is there from Nagpur who can share his experience, how he or she has participated in river rejuvenation of Nag River. So what are the future challenges? So future challenges are the demand for water will increase by 2050, but the availability of water will be reduced. Second, the water resources will reduce. And third, the pollution will further reduce the clean amount of clean fresh water. So there are three big challenges. One, increase in demand, reduces in water resources, and increase in the pollution. So you need to take care of these three challenges in the coming decade, in the coming years. Decade, I'm saying even decade is too long. I think within the next 3 to 5 years, you have to take it. As I said, that the distress or the pressure on groundwater or water resources. So you can see on the left hand side, that is depth of water level map post monsoon 2019. And you will see that most of the part of our country is having water depth more than 9 meters. All the red dots which you see, that the groundwater is at the depth more than that of the 9 meter. If depth is more than 9 meter, naturally you can understand that the water, if you want to pump out from the ground, number one, it will become costlier. And number two, the over exploitation might have resulted in lowering down of the water. Same time, if you will see the categorization assessment of groundwater of March 2017, almost the entire India comes under semi-critical or a critical, what you can say, the category. The over exploitation of groundwater that you can see in the state of around Rajasthan and then Delhi and then Punjab, you will find that these are the regions where you will find that the water is over exploited. So one side, the water depth has gone down, the water level has gone down more than 9 meters. Another side, you find that the over exploitation of water has resulted again into decrease in the water resources. So what is the solution for this? When we are talking of problem, we should also talk about the solution. And the solution is recharging. When we talk of recharging, what do you mean by recharging? Right? There is a word used, artificial recharging. Actually, in the artificial recharging word also, there is nothing like artificial, because artificial recharge also governed by physical law. Hence, ultimately, it is a recharging to the groundwater. So, according to American Society of Civil Engineering's definition, artificial recharge to groundwater is defined as the recharge that occurs when the natural pattern of recharge is deliberately modified to increase recharge. Whether we wish or not, whenever there is a rainfall and whenever there is a surface runoff, the water recharges the ground. But when artificially we are modifying the pattern of recharge to increase the recharge rate, we can call it as an artificial recharge. The process of recharge itself is not artificial, that's what I said. The same physical laws govern recharge, whether it occurs under natural condition or it occurs under artificial conditions. The recharging of ground that is taking place in either of the conditions naturally, right? Ultimately, it is what we can say infiltration of the water inside the ground. Okay, if I talk what we can say, not exactly to the definition of infiltration or infiltration capacity, but entering of water into the ground by means of natural efforts or that of artificial conditions which are created increases the rate of recharge into the ground, that can be said as that of the artificial recharge. What is artificial recharge? Is the availability of water supply at a particular location and a particular time. What is artificial? What is artificial is the availability, means you make water available at a particular location and at a particular time so that it recharges the groundwater. It recharges the water resources, right? And therefore, it is termed as that of what we can say artificial recharging. When we talk of artificial recharge, in the broadest sense, one can define artificial recharge as any procedure which introduce water in a pervious stratum. Any procedure which introduce water in a pervious stratum. The picture which you see on the slide, right hand side, where you see the people are worshipping water which is stored artificially. And this is a picture which has been taken from Pani Foundation. You may be knowing the Pani Foundation is one of the NGO working in the water scare area or drought prone areas of Maharashtra, and they have done a lot of work for the water conservation. Due to the efforts of this NGO, the drought prone areas of Maharashtra that has been converted into greener belts. Hence, the recharging or conservation of water measures like this definitely help in conserving the rainwater. When we talk of artificial recharge techniques, the artificial recharge techniques can be classified into direct surface techniques, direct subsurface technique, combination of surface and subsurface techniques, and indirect techniques. So when we talk of artificial recharging techniques, the artificial recharging techniques can be classified into 4 categories: direct surface technique, direct subsurface technique, combination of surface and subsurface techniques, and indirect techniques. When we talk of direct surface techniques, flooding, basins, percolation tank, stream augmentation, ditch and furrow system, over irrigation, These are all the methods of direct recharging, direct surface recharging. When it comes to direct subsurface techniques like injection wells, recharge pits, recharge shafts, dug well recharge, borehole flooding, natural openings, if the water is injected through all these or it's transferred into groundwater through all this, it is known as direct subsurface technique. So direct surface techniques, direct subsurface techniques. Then combination of surface and subsurface techniques. So we can have both. We can have shaft as well as bore well, right? Here we have seen that the percolation tank which may have recharge well or bore well or injection well. So if we combine the percolation tanks with injection wells, that will be the combination of surface and subsurface techniques. So we can have basins with pit shafts or percolation tanks with wells. This can be a what you can say technique through which we can transfer the we can recharge the groundwater by combination of surface and subsurface technique. While the induced recharge, right, that is indirect techniques from surface water source and aquifer modification, these are the kind of indirect techniques. So artificial recharging, there are 4 techniques: surface, subsurface, combination and indirect techniques. When we think of recharging, right, or you want to take up a recharging project in a specific area, how will you plan it? So planning of artificial recharge projects, as you can see here in the picture, that so many ways and means, like you can see here, the structures, right, small check dams, they have been constructed, and these check dams, the water is stored behind that, which will result into the recharging of the groundwater, right? Recharging by temporary storage ponds or bank, recharging from rainwater harvesting system, leakages from pipes and sewers, abstraction from sandstone aquifer for urban supply, recharging from irrigation canals. These are all possible ways and means by which the groundwater recharging can be done. But as far as planning of artificial recharge is concerned, what are the points, or how will you identify the area where you wanted to go for recharging? The artificial recharge of groundwater is normally taken in the following areas. Areas where groundwater levels are declining on regular basis. Areas where substantial amount of aquifer has already been desaturated. Areas where availability of groundwater is inadequate in lean months, and areas where salinity ingression is taking place. So what are the suitable areas, or which areas you can, what you can say, consider for artificial recharge of groundwater? So these are the areas where groundwater levels are declining, the areas where substantial amount of aquifer has already been desaturated, or areas where availability of groundwater is inadequate, it is not sufficient, and where you expect the salinity ingress, where the seawater intrusion is taking place. So when the seawater intrusion takes place, the seawater intrusion takes place when the freshwater head is much below that of the seawater head, and the seawater intrudes into the ground. What are the scientific inputs required if you want to go for a recharging project or want to carry out the artificial recharging of a specific area? What are the scientific inputs you need? You need hydrometeorological studies, hydrological studies, soil infiltration studies, hydrogeological studies, geophysical studies, chemical quality of source water, and suspended matters. Any area, any region which you select, wherein you wanted to have artificial recharge project, you should have these scientific inputs required for planning of artificial recharge project. One by one we will see it, that what is the meaning of hydrometeorological studies. So as the word itself suggests, related to meteorology or meteorological parameters. So what are these meteorological parameters? Rainfall pattern, evaporation, losses, and climatological features. You must know these features of the region where you wanted to undertake the artificial recharge project. This can bring out the extent of evaporation losses in post-monsoon period, which would be helpful in designing the storage of particular capacity with a view to have minimum evaporation losses. Sometimes you may feel that, sir, hydrometeorological studies you are saying, and you are saying evaporation losses, and simultaneously you are also asking for the recharging of the groundwater. Is it possible? Is it happens that though the recharging project has been planned, but it may fail because of excessive evaporation losses? Yes, the answer to this question is yes. And in that, if it is done in such areas, it will be again a wastage of money, right? Why? Because the storage, the region is such that the evaporation losses are very high. When we are doing water conservation, our purpose is to store water for a longer period and utilize for a period when there is no rainfall. But due to excessive evaporation, the water cannot be stored in the water bodies, and that may get evaporated. So you have to take care of the evaporation losses and climatological features of the region where the artificial recharge project is planned. The hydrometeorological studies also relates the rainfall intensity, number of rainy days, etc., which decide the capacity and design of the artificial recharge structures. Hydrological studies, the basic prerequisite for artificial recharge project is ascertain availability of source of water, like in situ precipitation on the watershed, surface supplies from large reservoirs located within basin, surface supplies through trans-basin water transfers, and treated municipal and industrial waterways. Treated it is, not untreated. So when you wanted to do recharging, what is the source of water, from where the water will come? That is the meaning of hydrological studies. And that studies come from the precipitation, comes from the canal supplies, comes from the trans-basin transfer of water, or you wanted to use, this is called reuse of water. Reuse of water, treated municipal water and industrial water. That reuse of water, that will also be available as a, what we can say, water for the purpose of artificial recharging. The hydrological study also includes quantity that may be diverted for artificial recharge, time for which the source water will be available, quality of source water and the pre-treatment required, and conveyance system required to bring the water to the recharge sites. When we look at this particular site, hydrological studies, which is required to be carried out before planning of any artificial recharge project, sometimes you feel that what is the significance of time? The time for which the source water will be available. Believe me, the Dang district receives more than 1,200 mm of rainfall, annual average rainfall. In Dang district, some of the part of the Dang district hilly area receives 1,200 mm of annual average rainfall. But if you go in the month of March into certain hilly areas, there is no drinking water. This is the absolutely pure good quality of water which is received in abundance by the Dang district in the monsoon season. But just after the monsoon season gets over in October, and if you visit those areas in March, April and May, these regions thrive because of fresh water. They don't have water to drink. So that's why it is written the time for which the source water will be available. And you have to plan accordingly such that you can use that water during lean period. When it is available in the abundance, that is one thing. And when there is a lean period, the water which is available in the abundance, that can be used during its lean period. Soil infiltration studies. Infiltration is nothing but the process water entering into a soil through the soil surface. I have a question here for all the participants, that suppose if I am near seashore, very close to sea area, okay, I need your answer in chat box. Very coastal area, and water table is high, Which method of recharging you will adopt? Type in chat. My question to you is that you are in a coastal area and the water table is at 3 meter depth from the ground. Please tell me which method of recharge you will adopt, or how what method of recharge you can propose. Yes, there are 45 participants online. So I need at least 1 or 2 answers for this question. Right or wrong? The answer may be right, answer may be wrong.
Can you, sir,
Hello,
please
am I
repeat
audible?
the question again? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you
My
please
question
repeat
is,
the question again?
Yeah. I'm repeating. I am on a coastline, like near Arabian Sea, maybe in Hajira, maybe in Bhuimpur or Dumas, very close to the coastline, and the water table is at a depth of 3 meters. Which method of artificial recharge you may recommend for this particular area? Now, I hope all of you have followed it. Hello. 42 participants are there. I hope you have followed it, what I mean to say.
Yes, sir, we have followed it.
Yes, then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which method you will propose? कैसे करोगे? रिचार्जिंग करना है. Suppose if you say that no sir, recharging is not possible, you can write that also, no problem. You can say that sir, recharging is not possible. Hello, what is say pumping method? Golakya sir is saying pumping method. Yes, anybody else? You can also say no, it's not necessary that the recharging is possible, right? It may be possible that recharging may be possible, may not be possible. Yes, Shushrut sir is saying infiltration basins. Yes, anybody else? Then this. Anybody else? Injection wells. Okay, not possible. Electric methods. Okay. Anybody else? I got 4 or 5 answers. Yes, out of these 5 answers, yeah, one more. Manish Kumar is saying not possible. Yes, see, 2 answers are most appropriate. One is Dr. Helena and another one is Manish Kumar, right? They says that it is not possible. Yes, that is correct. It is not possible. If you wanted to do in recharging in the coastal area, right, directly, then it is not possible. Yeah, what you can do, you can use geosynthetic material and have a ponds, water ponds, right, conservation of water, that is possible. So it is very significant and important to study the soil filtration, right, of the area where you wanted to go for the recharging. So infiltration is nothing but the process of water entering into a soil through the soil surfaces. There is a maximum rate at which water can enter soil at a particular point under a given set of condition. This is called, it is called as a infiltration capacity. Infiltration capacity on depends on many factors such as soil type, moisture content, organic matter, vegetative cover, season, air entrapment, formation of surface seals or crust, etc. Sometimes when we learn in theory about the soil infiltration, and we have to plan the recharge methods or recharging. Looks like, oh, we are wasting our time. ये तो हमको पता ही है. That soil infiltration is very important, and depending upon the soil type, a specific type of what we can say recharging technique is required to be used, where porosity determines the storage capacity and also affects resistance to flow. Thus, infiltration tends to increase with porosity. And how to measure the infiltration? The infiltration can be measured using cylinder or flood inflometers. There are maps which are showing the infiltration rates of soils. You can also check the infiltration rates of soils of that specific area to decide about the suitable artificial recharge structure, suitable type of the artificial recharge structure. It is also significantly important to know about the hydrogeological studies of the region, which gives you idea about the geological strata, geological age, sequences, boundaries, contexts of the individual formations, structural expressions like strike, deep, folds, flexures, intrusive bodies, etc. These are also equally important when you are trying to study, trying to find it out recharging method. The hydrogeological investigations, which provides the type of rock, groundwater potential, general pattern of groundwater flow, and chemical quality of water in different aquifers, are necessary to know before taking up. Apart from the hydrogeological investigations, the satellite imagery maps also provides the useful information on geomorphic units and lineaments which govern the occurrence and movement of that of the groundwater. Geophysical studies which help in finding out amount of water. Artificial recharge studies mostly to help assess the unknown subsurface hydrogeological conditions economically, adequately, and unambiguously. Sometimes it happens. Now you might have heard that people are saying that we did the bore here, but we didn't get the water there, right? Why? What is the reason? Because they have not carried out sufficient geophysical studies of the region, and hence they may find that the water, whether water is available or whether water is not available, or whether you can recharge water into that region successfully or not, that depends upon your geophysical investigations. The application of geophysical method is to bring out a comparative picture of the subsurface structure and litho environment. It can identify the breakage, fresh groundwater interface, contaminated zone, and the area prone to seawater intrusion. The chemical quality of source water, that is also very important. One has to check that the raw water which we wanted to use for the recharging purpose, it should be free from any sort of chemical or bacteriological analysis. Suspended matter. This is very significant as we are going to talk about the artificial recharging. The suspended matter clogs the filters, and clogging of the filter will result into the reduction of rate of recharge. So a major requirement for waters that are to be used in recharge projects must be silt free. Silt settles in stagnant water with velocity which do not exceed 0.1 meter per hour. To obtain silt clearer water, addition of flocculants and frequently agitation of the water must be done. Clogging by biological activity depends upon the mineralogical and organic composition of the water and basin floor and up to the grain size and permeability of the floor. So suspended matter that should be avoided when we are planning artificial recharging. Methods to minimize the clogging effects by suspended matter can be classified into two broad groups. Periodical removing the mudcake and deicing or scraping of the surface layer, installation of filters, addition of organic matters, and cultivation of certain plant covers. These are few of the techniques by which you can avoid the clogging of the filters by suspended matters. Up till now, hope you have paid a proper attention, and I would like to ask two questions to all the participants. Be ready with the answer. Next, I am going to ask you two questions and I want you to reply it in chat. Either Dr. Sanhita or Dr. Darshan, if you can count that how many of you have replied correctly, because simultaneously I cannot see the chat box, right? You can tell me the number of the participants who have replied this question correctly. My first question is, what is the expected percentage increase of global water demand by 2050? Please type answer of this question in chat. Darshan or Sahita ma'am, please tell me how many of the participants have answered it correctly. I am giving you 1 minute to all the participants. What is the expected percentage increase of global water demand by 2050? Done? Participant, someone of you unmute yourself and tell me yes sir, done.
Yes, sir, done.
Done, sir.
Done na?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Done.
Yes.
Sir. Okay. So the answer is 20 to 30%. Answer is 20 to 30%. Darshan, are you online? Sahita ma'am or Darshan? I think they are not there. Okay. My second question is,
Madam is
how
online.
is the suspended matter which clogs the recharge medium be eliminated or removed? My second question to all the participants, please reply in chat. How is the suspended matter which clogs the recharge medium be eliminated or removed? Please type your answer in chat. The answer is you can use the filters. The filters can be used to remove the suspended matters from the water which we intend to divert for the purpose of recharge. After discussing about the planning of artificial recharging, let us now talk about rainwater harvesting. So what is rainwater harvesting? So rainwater harvesting is the simple process used to conserve rainwater by collecting, storing, conveying and purifying for later use. The rainwater harvesting is one of the simplest and oldest method of self-supply of water for households and residential household scale projects, usually financed by the user. Usually, of course, there is some subsidy. I have checked state government's portal, number of state government's portal, and the state governments do give subsidy of some amount of rupees for carrying out or installing the recharge structures, installing of the recharge structures, right? So this is the you can say the diagram of rainwater harvesting, how it can be done. Representativity is shown that from the roof the rainwater is collected and either it is taken to the underground storage tank, which can be used for the future purpose, and the excess amount of water may be allowed to what we can say infiltrate into ground, right, as shown over here in this particular picture. This is another view of rainwater harvesting system, which shows all the component of rooftop. Rather, this is a rooftop rainwater harvesting system, and in case of rooftop rainwater harvesting system, the rainwater harvesting is possible in a two-way. Number one, the overhead or above ground storage tanks, or number two, as it is shown over here, to into the ground. So this is one which can be stored above ground tanks, and number two, it can be recharged into the groundwater, right? So this is the definition sketch of rainfall rooftop water harvesting system. I request all the participants to pay proper attention for next 15 to 20 minutes. And if you will be paying attention for 15 to 20 minutes, I am very much sure that you can design any rooftop rainwater harvesting system for lifetime. Just pay attention for 15 to 20 minutes, and I am very much sure that you can able to design any type of rooftop rainwater harvesting system lifelong, for your lifetime, right? It is my guarantee. So as you look at this, you see the design component of rooftop rainwater harvesting system, that is collection area, which is roof. Here is the gutter. So from roof, whatever water comes, that is collected into the gutter. Through gutter, it goes to the down pipes. These are the pipes which collects the water from the roof. This water either it goes to the storage tank, which is above ground, or it can be collected into a chamber, filter or filter chamber, and from there it can be recharged into the groundwater. So if you want to design this rainwater rooftop harvesting system, just pay 15 minutes, next 15 minutes time, spare your 15-minute time, and you will be able to design rooftop rainwater harvesting system for lifelong. So what are the advantages of rainwater harvesting system? So here when I am writing rainwater harvesting system, I mean here by rooftop rainwater harvesting system, it is having less cost. It helps in reducing the water bill. It decreases the demand for water, reduces the need for imported water, promotes both water and energy conservation, improves the quality and quantity of groundwater, does not require filtration system for landscape irrigation, and this technology is relatively simple, easy to install and operate. This rooftop rainwater harvesting system is so simple, so easy to install and to operate. I'll show you the video in which this will be proved that how simple the rooftop rainwater harvesting system is. The disadvantages of rooftop rainwater harvesting system: it requires regular maintenance, requires some technical skills for installation, limited and no rainfall can limit the supply of rainwater, If not installed correctly, it may attract mosquitoes and other waterborne diseases. You have to take care wherever you are installing the underground tank or overhead tank. They should be closed, kept closed tightly. One of the significant drawbacks of the rainwater harvesting system is limitation of storage, right? Because when it rains, what is your storage capacity? You may have a storage capacity of few hundred to few thousand meter cube or liters, while the amount of rain which you received and you want to store, that may be the huge compared to that of your storage capacity. So this is again a pictorial view of methods of rainwater harvesting. As far as the rainwater harvestings are concerned, I am going to talk about the rooftop rainwater harvesting only in this particular lecture. However, there are number of methods available for rainwater harvesting other than that of the rooftop, like campus. I mean here the buildings which are in your areas and the water from their roofs, they may be public buildings, right, or commercial complex. From there, if you can divert the water from there, you can use the water. So that is rainwater harvesting from such buildings. Storm water harvesting and defunct borewell recharge. This is the another area from where the rainwater harvesting can be done. Defunct quarry and mines water usage. You know the states like Tamil Nadu, states in Gujarat, which have a quarry areas from where the limestone has been excavated and these quarries are abandoned. So these quarries may be used for the purpose of what you can say rainwater harvesting. Restoration and rejuvenation of old water bodies. You may come across number of defunct wells, defunct ponds, and these ponds and wells can be rejuvenated and can be used for the purpose of rainwater harvesting. Then grey water recycling, reduce and reuse. The water which is used by the industry that can be treated, and after treating again the water can be used, that is recycled water can be used, right, along with that of the rainwater for the purpose of irrigation and others. So some participants may be thinking that, sir, is there any research component in artificial recharging, or can we have something which really lead to a new research? The point number 2, stormwater harvesting, right? Using that rainwater harvesting, how you can plan it, right? That is the new concept, low impact development, LED, that has been come up worldwide, right, wherein the rainwater which is through storm wasted into the nearby water bodies can be utilized for the purpose of conservation, and that is called low impact development. If some urban planning faculty or students attending this particular presentation, this LED is a part of green movement or green development or green buildings. You have heard the word about green buildings. So this low impact development is particularly a part of green building. And right from second, third, fourth and fifth topic, lot of research and experimental work is possible in case of rainwater harvesting. In case of rainwater harvesting, lot of research is, one can take up dissertation project, one can take up research also, that how rainwater harvesting can be done using that of the stormwater or using that of the low impact development, or using that or on the quality of water, what is the quality of water before the recharging and the quality of water after recharging, and studying a well water quality of wells of certain locations for a few years, right, may even lead to doctoral degree. So methods of rainwater harvesting will be concentrating more on the rooftop rainwater harvesting. So in case of rooftop rainwater harvesting, as I said, that lifelong you can design rainwater harvesting system if you pay attention for next 15 minutes. And out of that, the first thing which you can see from this slide is IS 15797 2008. This is the IS code which is used for the design of rooftop rainwater harvesting system. You can download it just now, right? It is freely available on a net, and you can download this IS code 15797 2008, which guides you how to design the rooftop rainwater harvesting system. So we will see one by one the factors affecting the rooftop water harvesting system. First is rainfall quantity. So how to find out the amount of rainfall or volume of water available in your area. So total volume of rainwater available from any rooftop surface is product of total rainfall and the surface area of the collection. Suppose you are staying in city of Surat. So average annual rainfall of Surat is 1100 mm, and my house area is 100 mm. 100 square meter. So 100 square meter into my annual average rainfall, the product of that may give me the amount of volume of rainwater that is available. I have to consider the runoff coefficient on the account of losses like infiltration, evaporation, etc. If you have downloaded the IS code 15797 2008, then in that the two tables are given, table number 1 and table number 2. Table number 1 is for flat roofs and table number 2 is for sloping roofs. So if you have area and amount of rainfall, if you have area of your rooftop and rainfall, average annual rainfall of your area, you can able to compute the volume of rainwater available for harvesting. Volume of rainwater available for harvesting. So here is this table. This is from this IS code. As I said that suppose I am staying in a city whose annual average rainfall is 800 mm and the rooftop area of my house is 100 meters square. So what is the amount of water available? So that is 64 meter cube. So 64 meter cube means 64,000 liters of water is available for recharging from the roof. I am saying 100 meter square area. 100 meter square means approximately a house of 1000 square feet, right? One room, hall, kitchen. If you have this much of house every year, and if your rainfall of your area is 800 mm, you can get 64,000 liters of water every season. You can store 64,000 of liters of water every season. And this table is readily given in the, what you can say, the so what do you know to know the availability of water? You have to know the amount of rain falling in area, number 1. And number 2, what do you know? You know the amount of rooftop area. And from that, you can able to find it out what will be the volume of water available for conservation, water conservation. So once you know the again, somebody is having sloping roof, then in case of sloping roof, what will be if rainfall is 1000 mm, right? And the rooftop area is 200 meters square, the amount of volume of water available is 190 meter cube, that is 190 into 1000 liters of volume of water is available, right? For this specific roof, right? If the roof is a sloping roof. Okay, then second, rainfall pattern. So first, so for designing, now I am explaining you the steps of designing rooftop rainwater harvesting system. In that, first you have to refer IS 15797 2008. Second, if you want to find it out, volume of amount of rainwater available, you refer table 1 of it if it is a flat roof, refer table 5.2 of it if it is a sloping roof. If what kind of rainfall pattern is, suppose you get the rainfall in 1 to 2 months of entire season, that means you need large storage. And if you have throughout the 4 months rainfall, you may need to have smaller storage, right? So rainfall pattern will determine what is the significance of rainfall pattern, whether you have to go for a design of a big tank or you have to go for a design of a small tank, right? That can be find it out considering the rainfall pattern of that specific area. And as I said, suppose if you are in Rajasthan where the rainfall occurs only in 2 months for the entire season, naturally you should have a bigger tank so that you can store more water, conserve more water which falls during those 2 months, which can be used for the rest of the lean period. So that is the rainfall pattern. Then intensity of rainfall, how the rain is falling, what is its intensity, whether the rain has been falling in a shorter duration, heavy rainfall, or its rain intensity is less. Depending upon that, the size of gutter and diameter of draining pipe that can be calculated. What size of minimum size of diameter and of gutter and minimum width of the gutter, size of the gutter, that you can able to know from the intensity of the rainfall. The collection surface area is restricted by the size of the roof of dwelling unit, right? That is the top of the roof from which you want to collect the rainwater, that decides the size. The rooftop, as I already we have discussed, it have a sloping roof or it will have a flat roof. You should have one outlet at one particular direction, at one direction, then it will be easier that you can take the water to one specific point, right? And from that you can carry further. Guttering and first flush device. This is very important, that guttering is the water which is collected or which is fallen on the rooftop that can be collected through the gutter, and through gutter it will go into the underground tank or overhead tank or the tank which is placed above the ground. But you should have first flush device. What is this mean by first flush device? The first flush device, when there is a first rain of a season, when there is a first rain of a season, dirts, then the pollutants or dust, all these leaves, all these will start flowing with the first water. And this water you do not want to get added into your storage tank. And therefore, there is a first flush device which diverts the water away from that of the storage tanks. And once the terrace is cleaned and there are no more dirts, leaves, etc., then that water is allowed to enter into the, what we can say, the storage tanks. So guttering and first flush devices are used. Then comes the filters. Even after the first flushing, there may be suspended particles which are carried by the rainwater, and this rainwater may clog the filters. So there are two types of filters available. One is online filters and second one is purpose-built filter. The online filter, this filter is used when availability of runoff as well as recharge rate of recharge value is less. Manufactured from reinforced engineering plastic material, available in various sizes and flow rate right from 3 to 25 meter cube per hour. These are the filters which are to be fitted. If this is the pipe which carries the rainwater, these filters are to be fitted into, what you can say, these pipelines, and they remove the dirts and all that from the water, right? They are very cheap, they are not very costly. This kinds of filters, they are called as online filters. And purpose-built filters, wherein you have ore sand 1.5 to 2 mm on the top, 5 to 10 mm size gravel at next to it, and bottom you have 5 to 20 centimeter at the bottom, right? This type of gradation of sand bed if you are prepared, whose thickness is around 0.5 meter and the water percolates through it, they are called as purpose-built filters. So these two filters are used for keeping the suspended particle or dirt matter outside of the tank. So here you can see the first picture on the left hand side, wherein you can see the leaves are there in the gutter. So when there is a first rainfall, what will happen? These leaves will also flow with the water, and therefore the first flush device is required, which will not allow this water to go into your storage tank. This is a simple filter. Second filter, most widely used and economical. As I said that there is a first layer. This is the first layer of sand, which is having size of 1.5 to 2 mm. Second layer, that is of aggregate, size of around 5 to 10 mm. And third layer, that is 5 to 20 centimeter size pebbles, and the rainwater which comes out from the top rooftop, that can be infiltrated through this, and it comes out as an outlet as a clear water over here. This is another filter which is called as purpose-built filter, and this is most wisely used filter, that is purpose-built filter, or this most widely used filter for rainwater harvesting system. The third picture shows the filter, Rainy filter. It's of Rainy company. There are many water resources company, but to demonstrate to you how this filter works, I have used the filter of Rainy company. You will see here, this is the pipe which comes which comes from the top, that is from the roof, and in this the only filtered water moves into the tank. Here is, you can see there is a tank, while all the dirt, leaves, etc., that comes out through this particular outlet. Right. So such type of filters, ready-made filters, are also available in the market. If you can use this, that is then good. Even if you want to use this type of filters, then these filters are also used to keep the dirts and all that away. I wanted to show you the working of filter. Let me see. But I have to share that video. One minute, I have to share the video file on screen. So just I will share it again. Stop. Share. WhatsApp video. Yes. Hello. Can you able to see the video screen? Someone of you unmute yourself and tell me.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can see here. So this is the function of what we can say, that of function of the filter, right? So how actually the filter that has been taken out from the suspended material be taken out from the rainwater, that I have shown you. Now computation of the storage volume. So storage volume as per IS 15797/2008 can be computed using V is equal to T into N into Q, where T is the length of dry seasons, N is number of people using the tank, and Q is consumption of water in liters per day per capita. right? So using this, you can work it out the volume of tank in liters. So that is storage volume. The storage volume, the storage tank can be above the ground. As you can see here, the tank is either of RCC, plastic, HTP or ferro cements. Again, from rooftop, you can also divert the water into the groundwater. After filtration, you can add it into directly into the dug well. That is also shown over here. This is also a storage tank, which I have shown you how it can be designed, where 5 meter is width, 3.5 meter its depth, having a cover at the top and outlet pipe. It has kept 30 centimeter above the ground, underground storage tank, which is designed for the conservation of roof water, rainwater. Since you studied the design of rainwater harvesting system, once again, let me ask you two questions. The first question is, which IS code is used for the design of rooftop rainwater harvesting system? I hope all of you should reply this answer correctly. Please type the IS code which I mentioned right now in the chat. Which IS code is used for the design of rooftop rainwater harvesting system? I hope many of you have replied it, and the correct answer is IS 15797 2008. My next question is, what care is required at the time of first rain of the season? If you wanted to carry out rainwater harvesting, what care is required at the time of first rain of the season? You can type your answer in chat, and I think it is recording. So recording, your answers are also get recorded. So the participants, what you are replying, that is also getting recorded. So please reply in chat. What care is required at the time of first rain of the season? The specific thing I talked about, and that is flush out, right? You are not required to leave that water directly go into the storage tank, but you have to design flush out device which takes out water out of the, what we can say, the tank, right? Before I go to the design of rainwater harvesting system, right, which actually I did right now, I would like to show you one of the simple rainwater harvesting system, as it is said that it is very cost effective and easy also. Let's see. This is this particular video, right? I hope you can see the video. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
अरे
So yes. Now say, as I said, now where there is a will, there is a way. If somebody says that I wanted to do recharging, right? Nobody can stop him. Just see here, this is the outlet of the roof, and from the outlet of roof, to save cost of pipe, the person has used the plastic paper or plastic cover, and that plastic cover, again, as I said, this drum is nothing but it is a filter, right? If I have shown you the filter with 3 layers, that is sand, pebbles, gravel and pebbles, that has been filled in this particular tank, and you can see this is the outlet, right? And through this outlet he has used a simple pipe to take the water into his bore. You can see here the water is directly taken into the bore, and this is the bore in which the water is directly supplied. So when anyone wants really to do water recharging, cost is not a problem. Cost is not a matter. He can do it using this simple system, which is less than 1,500 rupees in the cost, right? This arrangement, anyone, all 47 participants who are attending this particular class, they can do right now in their house as far as the recharging of water is concerned, rainfall rooftop recharging of water is concerned, right? So I have designed one system of rainfall rainwater harvesting for a rooftop of area 1,000 square feet, wherein I have considered water availability 100 square meter, 850, and repairing IS 15797 table number A1, 68 meter cube, that is 68,000 liters of volume of water is available. The gutter size which I can use, D is equal to 100 mm and W is equal to 176 mm. This is a minimum size of the pipe which is available, which you can use as a gutter, and the width of the gutter, drain pipe and width of the gutter. The volume of tank that I have computed for a people of 4 person, utilizing 134 liters per capita per day for dry period, that is for 4 months, 120 days. So I need approximately storage of 64,800 liters of water. If I use the coefficient for the losses as a 0.87, that is 56,376 liter of water that may be required for the purpose of the storage, while the available water as computed is how much? It is 68,000 liters, right? Hence the tank which I will design for this particular house will be of 56,376 liters. Why? Because the available amount of water is 68,000 liters. So this you can also calculate for your rooftop. Type of a tank, RCC tank, you have to provide 1.6 by 0.6 meter manhole cover, overflow pipe 100 mm diameter. I have designed it as an overflow pipe. I am an underground tank, and provided a drain pipe of 100 mm diameter. So this is the plan of the tank which I have designed for 58,000 liters of water, 5 meter in size and 4 meter in width. And this is the sectional elevation. I have kept it 3 meter above the 0.3 meter above the ground with 0.3 with outlet pipe on the ground. When it gets filled through outlet, it can go outside the tank, the top of which you have to keep a manhole of 0.6 meter by 0.6 meter size. The estimate also I have prepared of this, and the cost I have worked out, and you will surprised to know that the cost of the tank is very less. You will see here 1.38 rupees per liter, 68,000 rupees per year. If you will be constructing this, the cost, whatever may be the cost, around 93,860 rupees. That is the cost of underground tank. If I am going to have such a huge tank, then it may cost 1.38 rupees per liter. And if I consider the life of tank as 50 years, then it comes very negligible, 0.027 rupees per liter. But this cost of construction of tanks, people feel that it is huge or it is considerable. Then, as you have seen that the Bharat Bhai was explaining, like that system also you can have, and you can directly recharge your well, that is bore well. So there the cost is hardly 1,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees or 2,000 rupees directly, right? So if you have a working bore or you have an abandoned bore, in both the bores you can directly recharge the water into the ground. Okay, rooftop rainwater harvesting systems. I have visited few campuses, few locations before delivering this lecture and wanted to see actually how they are working. In SVNIT campus, we have 22 recharge wells. And these 22 recharge wells are located at various locations. You can see in the first picture, it is the rainwater line which comes out coming down from the roof of the ground plus 4-storied hostel, which is carried into the recharge well. You can see the extreme right side of the picture where you can see the pebbles are there and the water. Just see the quality of water. If you can see clear the picture into it, it is a crystal clear water. And this is of 29th September. This is an actual picture of 29th September of 2021, where the recharge wells of SVNIT campus were in working condition. This is another picture of SVNIT recharge wells. You can see here that the pebbles and the water is entering into it, and the central one is the well through which the water is supplied into the well, right? Bore well. Right side picture again, you see that it carries some water. The filter medium is there, and slowly it will filtrate the water. It will go to the bottom tank, and from bottom tank it will go into this particular recharge well, which is in the center. The central pipe is the recharge well, and through this recharge well, whatever water which is what we can say filtrates, that filtrate water enters into this particular recharge wells, which are in the center of this particular center of this recharge wells, right? Advantages of rooftop rainwater harvesting in urban areas. Due to increased urban activities, the natural recharge has been reduced, and due to scarcity of land for implementation of any other groundwater recharge system, one can go for rooftop rainwater harvesting. Rainwater runoff otherwise flows through sewers and get washed can be harvested and utilized. Recharging aquifers will improve the groundwater quality. Harnessed water can be used in the time of scarcity. The harvesting structures are simple to construct, economical and eco-friendly. In coastal areas, due to over-extraction of groundwater leads to saline water ingress. If you have a storage water bodies or rainwater harvesting structures like this will help you into what you can say preventing the salinity ingress. Storing of harvested water underground wherever feasible is advantageous, as such storage is not exposed to evaporation and pollution. So that is good quality of water is available. What are the design features one should keep in mind when we are dealing with the rooftop rainwater harvesting system? Number one, the substances that go into the making of the roof should be non-toxic and chemically inert. One should check that there should not be any paint applied or any inert material on the top of the roof, which will flow with the rainwater and get accumulated in water tank. That care one is required to be taken care. Roof surfaces should be smooth, hard and dense, since they are easier to clean and are less likely to be damaged and release materials, fibers into the water. Roof painting is not advisable. No overhanging trees should be left near the storage rooftop water. No birds nesting are allowed near the roofs tank. All gutter ends should be fitted with a wire mesh screen to keep out the leaves. To prevent the clogging material, lesser the clogging material, better will be the recharging. One of my observation is that there are recharge systems. You may come across recharge system in and around you, but this recharge system may not be working properly because of what we can say clogging, and hence one need to take care of the such measures that you provide the finer masses which prevents the clogging of the recharge wells. Appropriate arrangement for discarding the first flow of rainfall. That is the question which I have asked you. First flush out. That is very important. The storage tank should have tight fitting of roof that excludes light and a manhole cover and flushing pipe at the base of the tank. Light should not enter, otherwise there will be a biological activities and that may contaminate the water. The tank should be provided in such a place that there should not be any contaminated wastewater flowing into the tank. These are the general features which one is required to be take care when he or she is designing the rainwater harvesting system. As far as the management and maintenance of the rainwater harvesting system is concerned, first and foremost, I have already explained that you have to flush out the first water. Second, you have to take care of sediments which are entering into the tank so that the filters do not get clogged. And most importantly, that wherever the depth of water table is greater than 8 meters below ground level, right? The areas having depth of water table greater than 8 meters below ground level and underlain by permeable strata are suitable for artificial recharging. If your depth of water table is above 8 meters, means 4 meters, 5 meters, 6 meters, then please take care that which type of recharge well system you will utilize. If it is below, then it is fine. Secondly, it should have permeable strata also, so that the recharge water can enter into the underground strata. Otherwise, it will not enter into the underground strata. Design of efficient artificial recharge structures. The data required: plan, demarcation of paved area, delineation of stormwater drain, details of the existing groundwater extraction, computation of runoff or the quantity of water which is available for the recharge. After discussing the rainwater which